Hello beauties, and welcome back to the Bumpy Bones Locksport channel. So I have a fun lock for today's video. I have a pair of USPS registered mail rotary padlocks that we're going to pick open. So let's go ahead and get started. Now these are a very interesting lock. They were manufactured starting in 1881, and that was with the window counter here. And they were made through 1971, so about 90 years these were manufactured. Now, this pair here was probably made in the mid-1970s, and the reason why I say that is the initial model of these locks had a different stamp or marking on it. In 1881, or when they started making these locks, the USPS stamped these with a U.S through registered mail stamp. And they didn't start using this particular stamp, so the Reg US Mail, until the early 1900s. So with that and the condition that these locks are in, especially the counters here, I mean, those are pretty much perfect and in prime condition and all of that. So I have a feeling that these were made in the mid-1970s and all of that. They did continue to make these after 1971, but they removed the window counter on these. And this lock is a very simple lock. It's a simple 3-pin tumbler lock with no security pins, but the key pins are really deep in the lock. So it's a bit of an unusual pick, which makes this a very fun pick. And when the lock is open, the counter increments so that we can see how many times the lock has been opened. So let's go ahead and start picking this open. So let me grab my vise here, and I'm going to start with this guy here. So let's throw this in the vise, get this nice and tight here. And I'm going to use a 1.2 millimeter top of the keyway tensioner here. And then I'm going to use my Deforest diamond pick from Lock Tools, and this is the 0.6 millimeter. And you'll see that when I go and pick, the pick is just, I'm almost going to insert the pick entirely into the lock in order to get to that third pin. So I'm going to start with pin 1, so you can just see how deep pin 1 is. I'm right up against pin 1 here. So I'm going to go under that, and let's go ahead and get this guy picked open. So there's 1. I'm using pretty heavy tension here. 2. And there's 3. So we're going to rotate that. And while we're doing that, you can see that counter pin or the counter window there. So that was pretty cool. So this one here I've opened, or has been opened 203 times. I haven't picked this open 203 times. I've only picked it open like maybe 20. So let's go ahead and pick this one open, and I'll see if I can get it so that we can see that counter increment here. So let me go ahead and make sure that that's nice and tight. There we go. All right, so 1, 2, and lock is sliding. There we go. So there's 3. So that started to move. So let me pull this out here. So we're still at 203. Let me grab this. And what we're going to do is increment that to 204. So there we go. Now, I'm not going to gut these locks because they're pretty, you got to destroy them in order to gut them. Well, not really destroy them. If I drilled this out here, I could then remove the body and get to the pins. You actually have the pinholes right up here. So if I actually kind of cut this out here, I could probably grub screw them. But that's how they would disassemble this, is you would either drill that out or grind that out, and then you could slide the body of the lock off and get to the counting mechanism and the pins and all of that. So it's a really interesting lock, really fun lock. I highly recommend getting one of these for your collection. And I hope everybody enjoyed the video. So as always, do feel free to like and comment on my videos and subscribe to my channel. And I hope everyone has a beautiful day.